what I did is I just talked to my users, like the first people who buy Submagic, and I say, why did you buy Submagic? Like, tell me who you are. And I just find out more people like them. Then we say with Zitoun, my co-founder, if at the end of May we have like more than 100 customers, we go full in on this business. Like I'm stopping everything. And yeah, it was the case.
All right, ladies and gents, today I have with me David from Submagic. David and I have been discussing over the last few weeks his journey as an individual contributor in the SaaS space, building product on YouTube in particular, and then moving into running Submagic, which is an AI-driven video editing software, which I happen to love. David, I posted last week on LinkedIn. I signed up for Submagic to check it out. We had some videos I wanted to look at. And your pricing page in particular, I thought was just spot on. Really, from a SaaS perspective, I've worked with a lot of companies over the years, and there's a few best practices that you try and see, but I really, really appreciate your pricing page. Did it take much work or many iterations to get to the one you're at the moment?
Oh, yeah. We tried a lot of things. I think at the beginning, when we started the first pricing of Submagic, we just launch a pricing and see basically how people will react. There is no really rules regarding pricing. There is no you cannot know what will be the right pricing and how it will look like. The only way you can do it is to test your pricing. So we've been very agile to test and over our pricing strategy. And finally, it's been maybe 2 months that we didn't move the pricing, and we might try new things from September. But yeah, it's cool. We've been working on since a long time.
That's great to hear. And I think that's something I've hammered home with others I work with as well, is the importance of experimentation. Follow the data, see how that conversion rate changes when you even adjust. Some people think pricing pages and price plans, just the price point, right? How much does it cost? But I think when you look at what represents a good pricing page, it's just as much about how you present the value, right? How much you actually then communicate it effectively. Do you find that it's not only the price point you're experimenting with, but how you structure the tiers and the actual offering?
Yeah, of course. We call it marketing pricing. It's how you market your pricing. It's really important. And I found out that yes, more it's clear, more it's simple to understand, more you can add value to the price. It's very important to understand that pricing is not only about just displaying a price, but also how you market this pricing. And to be honest, at the beginning, we were not very good at that. And we're still not very good, I would say. But we are improving and learning from other pricing page as well. And and also it's very, very important, I would say, to be very close to your customers regarding that and understand how they pursue the pricing, what was the value, and what's the goal of your pricing. Is it to start sell your starter plan and then expand to the middle, the pro plan? Or is it to get a one-shot payment? I don't know. It depends on what is your objectives. But depending on that, you can create different strategy of pricing. And yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And continuing to iterate on that as well, I think is what you touched on there. And it's, I'd say there are a lot of people out there that try, and at the moment we've talked with AI companies, in particular new startups, and they're struggling to really monetize or figure out how to price their AI tool, right? Because you're looking at token usage and usage plus fixed fee. So I think experimenting and continually iterating how you market the price, as you say, I think it's a really good idea.
Test the pricing. Test.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. David, I've been really excited to talk to you for a while now, knowing your journey when we started doing research into yourself and Submagic. You've been building companies since you're a teenager, essentially, and you sort of hit your stride with your own YouTube channel. You've now grown through, and you've gone from creating content in, I guess, for a bit of a hobby and a bit of a passion, into now, a multi-million ARR business. Can you give us a bit of insight as to when you sort of knew that there was something you wanted to scale, or when that sort of creating content on YouTube actually turned into something real for you?
Yeah, sure. So I've been creating content since I'm 12 years old. So a long time ago, but at the beginning it was very simple. There is no YouTube channel. By the way, no, I make mistakes. My first video I uploaded on YouTube, I was 13 years old. So my bad. But I started because I was very a big fan of video games when I was young. So I was creating some content about Call of Duty. I was making introduction, so those After Effects introduction to show the YouTube channel of the best gamers in France. So I was selling some motion design introduction and outro. I was making some editing for people, and I started filming myself when I was 12, 13, 14. I was uploading some stupid videos about my hobbies. So it was skateboard. I was passionate about skateboard, so I was filming about skateboard. I was filming about dogs because I love dogs. I was trying a lot of things, and then I was passionate about cars in general and engine. So I started a YouTube channel back in 2020 during the COVID, where I already had a big community regarding cars in France, particularly because I love sharing things about cars. And I had like, I think 30,000 followers on Instagram. And then I started this YouTube channel. I did like 10 videos during the COVID, and in those videos went super, super well, like more than 100,000 views each of them. Not each of them, but majority of them. And it was crazy. Like the community grew, and I loved doing those videos. And I was doing that on the side of my business that I had at this time. It was just a hobby, but I always loved creating content and use camera, editing software, publishing, understanding how content works. And in 2023, I was starting to get some struggle myself because I was doing everything myself, from filming, editing, publishing, managing the community. It was my hobby, so I wanted to do it all myself. And I was struggling editing my short form content. So the thing is that I had a format on my YouTube channel where the concept was I love talking about cars and I love talking about business. I always drove, thanks to the work I did, I always had the chance to drive nice car. And my friends were also driving nice cars. So we were like, okay, jump on my car and we go for a ride. We talk about cars and we talk about business. What business brings you to buy this car? And so that was the concept of the YouTube videos. It's like kind of a podcast, but in the car with your friend. And it was pretty cool. And I wanted to take like some extract of those YouTube long form videos to make short form, to publish it online, to attract more customers to my long form videos. And so I was finding the moment myself, because at this time there is no product for doing that. And then I was facing like how I can make this editing more captivating, more engaging. And I was using Premiere Pro, I was using CapCut, and I didn't have the things that I want on those products. It was too complex, and I was doing editing since 10 years. So I say, if it's too complex for me, it's going to be too complex for a lot of people. At this time, that's when I met my co-founder, Tifei, today. I was asking him, like, Tifei, could you just make a POC for me? I need just a product where I put my short form content and you generate my captions. It needs to be very accurate, and I need to have this specific templates, like this specific effect, because this effect is working better than the classic shitty like captions. And we started working on this product. We built it for me at the beginning. And then when it was live, I started using it like for 1 week, and it was crazy good. And I was like, okay, it's good. Maybe there is other people that have the same issue as me. Maybe we actually try to test it out. And I start selling Submagic a little bit around myself, like as a business owner, like, hey, this is my pen, like, and I start having some sales, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and it went only like growing faster and faster. What I did is I just talked to my users, like the first people who buy Submagic, and I say, why did you buy Submagic? Who you are? Like, tell me who you are. And I understand who they are, and I just find out more people like them. And I just push Submagic more and more. And then we say with Tifei, my co-founder, if we reach like, I don't know, if I think it was in May 23, I say, if at the end of May we have like more than 100 customers, we go full in on this business. Like, this is a new, like, I'm stopping everything and we go full in on that because there is a big need. And yeah, it was the case.
That's awesome. I think, so you've touched on two things. One, I think I might have to show my son some of your early videos. So he's 11. He's just started filming himself playing Rocket League. He loves Rocket League, so he's all over that. And he recently started filming himself doing trick shots with his indoor basketball hoop and trying to upload them as well and edit them in, I think he was using CapCut potentially. So he might appreciate those early day rough uncut videos. And secondly, I think you touched on fundamental piece of wisdom that a lot of founders get is that they often set out to solve a problem that they're facing themselves, right? The original founder of Baremetrics was frustrated with the data coming from Stripe and how it was not really valuable and put into any sort of consumable fashion, segmented. So he built Baremetrics. You found that same frustration with being able to edit, long form content into short form snippets with captions that would resonate with people, and found out there are other people like you. And the other key term I think you use that is important for other founders to know, talk to your customers, find those people that are currently using your product, and then go find more of them through that understanding of what they're trying to do, right? That's how you scale effectively. When you said, so you mentioned you had your co-founder, you hit that milestone of saying, okay, we're all in. You then started to build a team around you, I'm assuming. How long did it take you to build a team once you decided to go all in? And who did you hire first so I can be a co-founder?
So that's a good question. So I didn't talk about it so much in different podcasts, but when we start the company with Tifei is my co-founder. He's French, but he lives in South Korea. So when we start working together, he told me, like, David, I'm going to move to South Korea in a month. So just so you know, I'm going to move there. The vision of the company was to build a software like company without offices, fully remote, with very lean team, because we believed at this time that AI will replace a lot of things and we could like build a great product with AI. So you don't have like to have like 200 people. And to be honest, both of us, we didn't want to have a big team. We always wanted to have like a small, very lean team, easy to manage. Because honestly, from my previous experience, managing people has been my worst nightmare. I don't like that. I want to get a cool life, and more people I have around me, less my life is cool. It's complicated. It's difficult. It's crazy. I'm not the best, I would say, leader manager for people. Or I don't really like that. So I wanted to build like this very lean team. And so when we started the company with Tife, we were just Tife and I at the beginning. So Tife is technical, I'm business, and I very fast understand that like a month after we start Submagic, that the key will not be the product. Like key will be, yes, a little bit the product, but the key will be the distribution with this AI things, because building products will become very easy because all those tools, Cursor, Lovable, those kind of things, like the technical barrier is getting thinner and thinner over the time. And it was 2 years ago. And so I said, like, we need to be very good at distribution. So the first person I hired was Eli, or CMO. And I knew Eli from another experience before that. And I always knew like this guy was a really good like marketer. And when I started some magic, he was doing another project, and I convinced him like he needs to stop what he's doing and he needs to join us because it's gonna be massive. And it was not easy. It took like a back and forth for like a 1 month and a half, and then finally he joined us. And so we stay, Eli, Tife, and I for like 2 weeks before we had to hire our first customer support guy, because we had like already a lot of customers. And so the first people we hired from the customer support was Leo. Leo is from France, and Leo was actually a customer of Submagic. So the first person we hired for Submagic were customers of Submagic.
And so they knew the product, they knew the team, they knew the culture, what you're all about. Like that's a big win, right?
Exactly. Like, because Submagic, you can have a lot of different people using Submagic. Some developers, some wanted to make some content, some agency owners, some whatever, some marketers. And so we were just like sending an email to our database, like, hey, we are looking to hire this type of person. You can apply here. And so many people were applying. They loved the vision, they loved the brand, they loved that. And so it was much easier to work with them. And so Eli was the first person we hired, the CMO. Then we had Leo. And then I think we stay like this for 3 months, like this. And it was long because 3 months, we already reached like a million ARR at this time. So we were 4 people, like 2 million ARR.
You were running sales?
We never did sales.
All self-serve?
All self-serve. We never did one custom plan.
That's like the golden circle of SaaS, right? It sells itself, it walks out the door. Yeah.
That's when we start the company with Fate. That's what our goal. We want it to be like very lean. So if it's lean, we don't like need to have salespeople.
Yeah.
Because managing sales is like, we need to have like SDR, sales. It's a big structure. It's different.
Yeah. Big movement.
We need to make it easy. But it's as positive and inconvenient, to be honest. Like self-serve, it's high churn, you know? So.
And what's your current headcount look like in general terms? You're a lot bigger now with the team, a bit more distributed?
Not really. Today we are like 10. We're not that good, but we were like 13 2 months ago. We are now 10 because our goal is not to be like the maximum, is to be the minimum. So every time we can slow down the team and be more efficient, we do it. So actually we are like 11, I think.
And so I know you mentioned right at the start of this part of the conversation, you don't see yourself as a manager. You don't like that sort of part of it. What are the challenges you've had moving from just that 4-person team in the early days into 10 or more?
Yeah, I mean, I exaggerate a little bit when I say I don't like that. I love working with my team. It's an amazing feeling. It's a pleasure. Like they are like always like we have a very good team. But I'm a bit nerd. Like I like working on my side with my computer with no meeting. I like that. So the reason why I say that is because I think in my previous experience, so Submagic is my first company, I've been working with some not really good people, like not very quality people before. And I've been very disappointing with working with people. So I had this mindset where I was not good to hire the right people. And I was finally doing everything myself. When you are this position where you have to go back after everyone to check if they did their work the way you want, it's like the old world feeling. And every time I was checking was like, no, it shouldn't be this way. Like, thanks God I checked what you did because it was not good. So, and when Submagic happens, we start working with very talented people, and it changed my perspective about managing and leadership. So how did I move from 1 to 10 people? Basically, very step by step, very simple. And in the company, we still don't have any managers. We don't have any, like, the rules are very simple. Everyone are owner of the subjects. There is no manager. There is very few meetings, only 1 meetings per week with all the team, like 30 minutes meeting. Everything is in asynchronous, so we do a lot of Looms videos to talk with our colleagues. And I think the trust is really important at Submagic, like, because we work from all over the world, we need to trust each other. And there is this culture for the small team that is really, and that makes the works very like efficient and good. I cannot tell you that. I don't know if we had an office. I don't know if at Baremetrics you guys have an office or you're a remote company. Yeah, sometimes it's hard and you don't see your co-founder, you don't see your team. So what we do is, like, every year we take 1 week break and we bring all the team to a place in the world. Last year was in Tuscany, in Italy. We had like an amazing house with all the team. This year was in Thailand because we are a bit bigger. And also a lot of people in the team don't have the right visa to go to Italy. So we went to Thailand, we bring the team. It was amazing. And so for the week, we just enjoy and bring the team together and create the values and create experience for the team as well. Because some of the people in the team never travel to Europe or to Asia, or never. So it's the first time experience for them, and it's a really good feeling to build that.
Yeah, I think we're very aligned there. We're the same. So in May this year, we had our offsite in Tokyo. So we don't have a fixed headquarters location, but we do have some sort of network people in Tokyo. And same thing, a couple of our teammates had never traveled to Japan before, and they were super excited to be over there. We got a place there and worked out of there for the week. And I think what I hear you say, David, is one, it comes down to putting the effort into hiring the right people allows that management side of the house to be a lot easier. And the alignment around, I guess, the culture and the vision, allows people to be more independent and stay in their lane and, do good by themselves. Yeah.
How many people are you in Baremetrics?
So we're very similar. We have about 12 full time, and then we have a sort of a pod of what I'd call cloud assets. So accountants, etc., legal support, all that sort of stuff don't come on full time. They're there when we need them. A little bit of digital marketing and stuff like that. So yeah, very similar in terms of size. And same thing, we're completely remote. I'm in Australia. I have my COO in Chicago. My head of growth is in Canada. I have a developer in Japan, Uruguay, Chile, like we're all over the place. Yeah. And I agree. I think it's very hard there's a lot of trust and there's a lot of risk that comes with running fully remote teams, right? And really when it comes down to hiring the right people that are going to be able to work independently and not have to have that constant supervision and constant correction certainly alleviates the stress of leadership in that regard.
What is your biggest challenge, would you say, managing Baremetrics today, fully remote?
So I think you touched on it in that the lack of face time, sometimes you lose context or tone in your communications. Like, it's great to be on a Zoom call. It's great to be on a Slack heads up. But as soon as that call's finished, it's like, okay, did they understand? And you can't just get up and go back to the office and knock on the door and go, hey, just about that meeting before, here's what I'm actually thinking, and sit down with like a whiteboard or something, right? There's that tangible interaction that I think you lose. So for me, that's the biggest challenge, is making sure that my tone and intent is understood when I'm delivering any sort of like goals or like strategy sessions and all that sort of stuff. And that's why that week is so valuable together. And the other one's time zone management, right? Like the fact that I'm in Australia, I start my days about 4 to 4:30 a.m. in the mornings, my first meetings. And I work through to the mid-afternoon my time. But I've got a developer in India, and he works essentially an evening shift. My guy in Tokyo, he comes on a bit later. We essentially have global coverage in one way or another, but getting everyone to be on the same meeting, we've got maybe a 3-hour window that works. So we try and avoid that as much as we can and just work asynchronously. That's probably the other biggest challenge, I'd say. Yeah.
Do you have any, not hack, but any advice that really worked for you running Baremetrics fully remote to manage the team or motivate them or keep the intensity of the work?
So I think for me, I don't say this to be arrogant or self-serving, but the sacrifice of my work time to come online at 4 a.m. in order to get that contact hours with, I'm a day ahead, right? So it's currently Thursday, 4:30 p.m. in the afternoon in Australia. So I work a Tuesday through to Saturday. I start early morning, and that gives me a good 4-hour block with my Pacific, Eastern American guys, which lines up with Uruguay and Chile. So I've got sort of good alignment there. So I think to me, that's the sacrifice hack, is to get up early and work early. But that's also part of my job. That's the expected of me taking the job. We could have hired a US CEO, but I wanted it, and that's where we came to be. The other hack I'd say there's a little app there's a web app called World Time Buddy. I think there's an extension as well. You can add like 5 different time zones and it will show you the alignment over where they line up and where they are. So I'll use that to plan my call meetings if I do have to get everyone in the same room, just being able to make sure that they're all online. And the other one is we have a really cool bot inside Slack, and this is particularly for our engineers. It's called a SUP bot, like a stand-up bot. And what they have in there is a daily report where it's like, what have you done since yesterday? What are you doing today? And any blockers. That's on like a weekly basis as well. And all they need to do in there, and we automate a lot of this too through tickets and Shortcut, they drop in there what they've done, what tickets they've processed, what things they've answered, and it automatically populates in Slack. So when I come online of a morning, I don't have to sit down with each of my devs and say, hey, what's holding you up, or where are we at with that project? I just check that stand-up. And I can actually see at any given time where my devs are stuck, or if they need further guidance from me, or they're happy to crack on. And so I don't have to be starting each meeting by saying, okay, tell me about your week, right? Because I already know. They've already posted that and it's already populated. So that's really cool too. So yeah, they're probably the small things that we managed to do. And we work a lot in Slack. So Slack's the heartbeat of our communications as well.
Thanks for sharing.
That's great, David. I guess so. Moving on to like the actual strategic success of Submagic and the company. When you start your day, what are the reports? What are the dashboards? What are the metrics you look at? How are you currently measuring what a day-to-day success looks like for Submagic?
Whoa, good question.
You don't have to say Baremetrics, but you can include that in there if you want. But I'm assuming there's like, you've got dashboards, you've got reports that represent your app usage and your app.
Yeah. That's a good point. So I don't use Baremetrics a lot myself, but my team is using it a lot, especially my CMO and my CFO. Why? Because my CMO, he's doing a lot of campaigns, and to see the attribution and to see the results of the campaign on a daily, new MRR or not, is the best way to see that. So they are like using it for this specific reason, especially. And also my CFO is doing like a lot of reports. Every month we are doing a lot of reports, weekly reports, monthly reports. It's really important. What else do we use? I was at the beginning very, very close to the numbers, to the metrics, to the figures. Very, very close. Like I had my phone with like a notification every time we had a sales. I was like very into sales. And more the time goes, less I was looking at the sales number. And because I want to distance my work day to day from the results, because I want to play long-term game. I don't want to play like a day-to-day game anymore. I want to see Submagic in a 10 years duration, and I want to make some actions today because I have a team around me. We are like 11, as I told you. And my job is not the same job as I was when I was like 2 in the company. So I'm not doing the day-to-day job, like how I can solve this, I can fix this pain or solve the fire here. No, looking to build like a long-term company, and what kind of things we should invest, which people we should hire if we need to hire some people, what the brand will looks like, and also like what is the next feature we should build for our clients. That's the job I'm doing. So I'm trying to get very far from the numbers, not that far, but like I have the chance to have a CFO that is doing this job, checking the numbers, checking the metrics, and giving us a report when it's not working or when it's working. So that's the thing I'm looking. What else do I look? So we use Discord at Submagic. We don't use Slack, but with Discord, we check with, that's the way the company is discussing. We do a lot of Looms. Loom is an amazing tool. And I recommend to everyone who is working remote to, instead of just, I don't like typing. It's too long. It's too difficult. Like sometimes you don't have the details of the way you say the things. So making a Loom saying like, this is my pain. This is what I'm trying to do. Can you help me on that? It gives us more like clarity, especially that when you say we are in different time zone, when my team is in Argentina, my co-founder is in South Korea. So when he wake up, they go to sleep. And so if he send, let's say the guy in Argentina, the CFA in South Korea send a question to anybody who just wake up, and the question is not very clear, we lose 1 day of work because he's not going to know what to do. So very important to be clear and precise in the question. Yes, so my day-to-day, and to answer your question, I spend most of my time, I would say 40% of my time is regarding my customers. So working with them, just jumping on call with the customer. Anyone who is customer of Submagic can book a call with me and talk with me. So I'm having calls like just after you have calls with customers and just understanding who they are, what they do, how we can make a better product for them. That's 40% of my time. And the rest will be like, of course, the things we're getting a CEO, like managing the company, the admin stuff and stuff like that, says that you only wants to do. And also like building the vision. Where are we heading the product and making sure the team is aligned on where we should go. That's my day-to-day job.
That's great. And I think that speaks to maturity of leadership when it comes to understanding that data on the day-to-day is one thing, being able to collect that data, being able to look at the metrics, but identifying trends over time or building something that's sustainable over time. That's what you can get from stepping back, right? And having a look at it in the long term as opposed to dwelling on the day-to-day. You're right in that your CMO, absolutely adjusting ad spend, adjusting channel spend to see day-to-day attribution. But for you as the CEO, if you're looking at things like long-term retention, long-term LTV, things that are longer, that are going to identify how you continue to grow, that's a great place to be, to look at those that are at a longer time horizon. So yeah, makes a lot of sense. For us, I'm similar in that I'd love to get on more calls with customers. We tend to have, I think your volume is significantly higher than us with a lower ASP. We have a higher sort of ASP ticket price. I had a great call with a customer today, and it just gets you excited to hear people that are using your product, and particularly when they give you great feedback, but also when you might think that they're having problems with something, they go, oh, no, this is great because we do it like this. And you see them use the product in a way that you maybe hadn't considered, right? So I agree. And that's probably one bit of advice for any SaaS founder is talk to your customers as much as you can. Let them talk. Yeah.
How do you make calls with your customer? Like, how do they know they can book a call? Like, how do you reach out to them?
There's a couple of ways we've done it in the past. One, it'll either be as soon as we have our customers segmented depending on the level of value and their depth of integration. And so when a high profile customer comes in Intercom, it's always our default is offer them a call first. Instead of trying, like you say for Looms, right? Instead of trying to solve the problem in chat, the first response is always, hey, do you have time? Can we get on a call right now? And if I'm online for that, I'll jump into that call as well. Where we have big enterprise clients, we try to establish a quarterly business review where we sit down with them once a quarter. That doesn't necessarily happen, but the availability is there. So I make sure it's available to them. And then really it's just identifying opportunities when they either submit an email, a feature request, just really trying to capitalize on when they are engaged. Like I've done a lot of proactive engagement. My SIG block has, talk to Luke whenever you like, book a time. But I don't know if you find the same thing, but there needs to be an incentive for them to book a call, right? There needs to be something that they're either looking to be answered or looking to contribute. And then when you do get that opportunity, make the most of it, I find.
Definitely. We try a lot of different things to talk to customers. We are lucky to have especially a high volume customer,
Yes.
Like we have a lot of users. And so we try a lot of things like emails when they sign up, chat on the chat when they talk to the customer support, like, hey, I see that you are struggling or you like the product. Do you like jumping on a call with the CEO of Submagic and talk with for 15 minutes to give the feedback? Yeah, why not? And sometimes we try a lot of different things.
I think it's just important to have that availability, right? And understand that, just give them the option to do it. Like I said, one of the biggest measures of success for us is that within the first 5 minutes of a support chat or a lead chat in Intercom, you need to be offering a call. Get them on call because it just opens the bandwidth of that conversation up. You start to hear them, you start to see them, you break down the barriers, you have a better, more fruitful conversation. So yeah, that's a big part of what we do as well. David, you've been super gracious with your time so far. We'll wrap this up shortly, but I guess looking back to your journey from where you were to where you are now, and again, a lot of the chats that I try and do here is about arming founders with the tools to help them grow. Is there anything you would have said to yourself back in, say, 2023 or maybe even prior to that to do different? Or like what advice would you have given yourself back then, something you know now that you would rather tell yourself back then to learn faster?
Probably spend a lot of time on hiring the right person. It's the most difficult things and the most important things at the same time. So spend time finding top A players for your team. That will make the difference for your business, I think, because you cannot run a business by yourself. Even if we are a lot of people, like Submagic will not be Submagic without my team at all. And so choosing the right person, having a vision of where you go to attract the right people, that's the job of the founders, I would say. You have to convince those people to work for you. That's the moments where you have to make a good sales. And the right sales is like taking the time of someone that is going to work for another company to work for your company to pursue the vision. And I think I would not do these things differently because I learned this way and it was in the ending, the result is really good. But I think for the future, I will my job is to hire the best people. That's it. It's like higher.
Any final questions for me? Anything you want to talk about while we're together?
I think we talk a lot of good subjects, like new subjects that I'm not used to talk about, and that's cool. And also, no, just one other things, get very precise with your profitability, I would say, as a business owner. A lot of founders forget about that, but for our case, we are bootstrapped, so we didn't raise funds, and we always been very close to our numbers and also to our like revenue and EBITDA. Very important. So your company will still going on until you have money. If you have money, it's fine. You still going. It's just like company is a marathon. Like when you have no more money, it's finished. It's over, game over. So the goal is not to be game over. So be close to your numbers, make sure you make money and you not lose money. I mean, in our case, if you want to bootstrap your company, that's all I can talk about, and use some good software to check that your revenue, your growth and stuff like that, to know where you can invest your money and where you can like go faster or slower.
Yeah, I think that represents a shift in the SaaS market. At least in my time, like I sort of first got involved in SaaS in about 2018, and I was sort of entered the golden age of SaaS, where there was a lot of venture capital out there. You know, your companies like your Uber, your Airbnbs were pumping, not profitable at all, but spending. WeWork, right? That was launched and it was just a complete catastrophe when it came to cash burn. There was this sense that if you're a startup, you had to burn to get big, right? And then I think sort of post-COVID, we did see this shift into focus on profitability and EBITDA in particular. And you're right, bootstrap founders in particular can grow a sustainable and, you know, scalable growth engine by being very deliberate with their expenses, by being very focused with their efforts, and not just spraying capital against the wall and hoping something sticks. So yeah, absolutely spot on. I think you're in that more modern mindset of the bootstrap founder for sure. Yes, sorry, David. Yeah, back to us. Any final questions for me? If not, happy to wrap up.
No, I think you answered my question. I had some question before, and you had the time to stay. No, it's pretty cool.
That's great. Well, mate, again, thank you so much for taking the time. I'm really glad we got to do this. Thank you for being a valuable Baremetrics customer. And as I said, always open for a chat. If you have anything you want to reach out for, if your CMO, CFO wants to reach out, always happy to get on a call. If any founder out there as well, check out David's stuff on LinkedIn, post some really good stuff there, and on YouTube. And I appreciate you've got your own podcast as well. Yeah, I've seen you on a few podcasts.
Yeah, man. I started, but to be honest, like I didn't keep on going. Unfortunately, I still. It's a question of priority, and I might take it back, and because it was working well. So
yeah, I can appreciate that for sure. There's a bit of effort there for sure. Yeah,
it's an info.
But anyway, if anyone wants to reach out to you, I'm sure they can reach out to you through LinkedIn. Go sign up Submagic, check out their pricing page, check out their sign up flow. I reckon it's top tier. They have a 3-click philosophy in regards to getting your video up and edited, and it's really smooth onboarding. Really appreciate the platform. David, thank you so much for your time, and hopefully we can talk again soon.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, David. Cheers, mate.